There is a version of you that only appears in the quiet after someone says, "I love you" for the first time. Not joy, not relief, a tightening, a silent, immediate calculation of exits. You have felt this before. The good date that suddenly felt like a trap. The partner who started planning a future and something in your chest slammed shut like a door in wind. You didn't choose to pull away. You simply vanished while still standing in the room. And afterward, alone again, safe again, you missed them terribly, which makes no sense unless you understand what's actually happening beneath your skin. This isn't coldness, it isn't commitment phobia, and it certainly isn't a character flaw. What you're living through has a name, and it belongs not in the language of blame, but in the language of neuroscience. It's called an activated attachment system undergoing deactivation, what researchers studying adult attachment call dismissive-avoidant strategies. In plain terms, your nervous system learned, long before you had words for it, that closeness is not always safety. Sometimes closeness was where disappointment lived. So your body built a defense so elegant, so automatic, you don't even feel it engage. It just happens. One moment you're close, the next you're behind glass. Pause here, because this next part matters more than anything else in this video. This pattern was never a defect, it was a masterpiece of adaptation. Somewhere in your early architecture, a caregiver who was inconsistent, distracted, overwhelmed, or emotionally unavailable, your young nervous system faced an impossible problem. Needing them was necessary for survival, but needing them also meant risking repeated small heartbreaks. So evolution, in its brutal elegance, gave you a workaround. Deactivate the need, turn down the volume on longing, become fluent in self-sufficiency before you were old enough to tie your shoes. This is not weakness. This is a nervous system that kept you intact when connection could not be trusted to keep you safe. You didn't become distant by accident. You became distant by design, your own brilliant protective design. Here is the image to hold on to for the rest of this video, because it will explain everything that follows. You are not a cold person. You are a glass fortress. Beautiful, transparent, built with extraordinary care. People can see the warmth inside you. They can see the courtyard, the light, the life happening within the walls. That's why they're drawn in. But this fortress has one particular design flaw, installed in childhood by hands that meant well or didn't mean at all. A drawbridge that lifts itself automatically. The moment someone gets close enough to matter, some ancient mechanism inside your walls senses the danger of that closeness and lifts the bridge before you've even consciously registered a threat. You don't decide to distance yourself. Your architecture decides for you.
This is why you can love someone and still find yourself constructing moats. Why you can want someone standing right in front of you and simultaneously build the very walls that push them away. It was never about them not being enough. It was the drawbridge doing exactly what it was engineered to do. Healing, then, isn't about demolishing the fortress. A fortress with no walls at all isn't safety, it's exposure. The work is not destruction. The work is installing a doorknob on the inside of that drawbridge so that lowering it becomes a choice you make rather than a reflex that happens to you. Here is how you begin building that doorknob. The first tool is called the threshold pause. The moment you feel the drawbridge lifting, that flicker of "I need space, this is too much, I should cancel," you do not act on it immediately. You simply name it, out loud or internally, the bridge is lifting. Naming activates your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for conscious choice, and begins to override the older, faster, threat-detecting parts of your brain. Neuroscientists call this affect labeling. Studies using fMRI show that simply naming an emotional state reduces activity in the amygdala, your brain's alarm system. You are, quite literally, calming the ancient guard at the gate. The second tool is Drawbridge Journaling. After moments of unexplained distancing, write one sentence. What did I need right before I pulled away? Not what they did wrong, what you needed. Almost universally, avoidant patterns are triggered not by too much love, but by a private fear that the love will demand something you don't know how to give: perfection, constancy, merging. Writing this down again and again slowly reveals your specific triggers, so the drawbridge stops feeling random and starts feeling readable. The third tool is the Courtyard Rule. When someone gets close, you don't have to lower the entire bridge at once. You let them into the courtyard, a small, containable act of closeness, a shared meal, an honest sentence, 5 minutes of eye contact without a joke to deflect it. Small doses of intimacy tolerated and survived slowly teach your nervous system what psychologist Dan Siegel calls widening your window of tolerance, the emotional bandwidth in which closeness no longer registers as danger. And the fourth, quieter tool, somatic naming. Because so much of avoidant attachment lives below thought, in the body, the tight chest, the sudden fatigue, the urge to check your phone the second things get emotionally real. When you feel that urge, place a hand on your sternum and simply say, "This is my body, not the truth." This interrupts what's called dorsal vagal shutdown, a nervous system state of numbing and withdrawal, and gently reactivates your parasympathetic nervous system, the part responsible not for fighting or fleeing, but for feeling safe enough to stay. Now the caveat, the part almost everyone gets wrong. Healing avoidant attachment does not mean becoming endlessly available, endlessly warm, endlessly close. That isn't health, that's overcorrection, and it often collapses into its own kind of self-abandonment. The goal was never to become someone without walls. Walls, chosen consciously, are wisdom. The goal is simply this: to make sure the bridge lowers because you decided to let someone in, not because an old, frightened, younger version of you slammed it shut before you even had the chance to choose. You were never too distant to be loved. You were only ever protecting something tender behind glass, waiting, quietly, patiently, for someone worth lowering the bridge for. And, perhaps more importantly, waiting for you to be the one holding the rope. If this described you more closely than you expected, I've put together a free companion guide, the Glass Fortress Workbook, with deeper exercises for each of these 4 tools. The link is in the description. Come find your doorknob.